AM, 106.5 FM. You listen to the midweek flow. And y'all know my promo music bad, girl. I'm cracking up because I got an unexpected head bobbing in the studio today. Caught me off guard when I looked over. I would like to first of all say good afternoon to the brothers in the studio. What's up, Mr. Rideout?
How do you do today?
I am hanging, bro. My glasses keep fogging up. Going between cold and hot. It's too much today. I'm telling you.
cold fronts, warm fronts.
You know what's happening, Carvey? How you doing, fam? Carvey said he is well. One day we gonna get him a mic that works. Steve gonna stop playing and get him a mic. Speaking of the devil, walking through the door. All right, family. So as you know, we are talking all things elections. We have a number of races, all the way at the top of the ticket, the presidential race in terms of VP Harris and former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. And then we have a number of other, seats that we have to pay attention to. One of the things that I heard someone from Kamala Harris's team say just recently, in fact, like in the last 24 hours, is that even if she is successful in winning, she has to have help to be able to get things done and accomplished. So I am looking at some of that help right now. I want to welcome to the studio. Wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be a phone call. So I'm over the top excited to welcome to the studio today none other than U.S. Senator Ms. Tammy Baldwin. Hey, Senator Baldwin, how you doing today?
I am doing great, and it's wonderful to join you in studio today.
We've been doing phone calls. I didn't know you were going to come in with the $5 jacket on. So,
oh, yes.
I'm trying to figure out how to get my hands on that merchandise. You look so cool in that. That is really, really nice. So, a lot is going on. We have been talking to listeners at almost nauseum about the significance of these races, the importance of showing up. And there have been folks that have said, well, Senator Baldwin is in a relatively comfortable race. We've seen polls that have said he's up by 7 points. And I'm telling people, look, we have learned our lessons, A, with polls. B, it's not over until the fat lady has not only sung but left the building and potentially swatted down a recount. So it is one of those things that this work has to continue right up until the finish line. For folks that have said, I mean, she's been in office now a while. She's been able to, beat other folks. She's got to be doing well. The polls, Michelle, 7 points. What do you say? What should we understand right now about how the race is going?
Well, first, let me tell you how the race is going. Then I want to go back to, help is on the way.
Okay.
If we have a President Harris, we need a U.S. Senate ready to work. And that's on the line right now.
There's concern that we could lose it.
That's right. But so my race right now, it is extremely tight. Our internal polls show me up by 2 points. Eric Hovde, my opponent, was on Fox News yesterday saying that he has an internal poll showing him up 1. We're talking razor thin, which is not new for Wisconsin.
Right.
Trump won in 2016 by 0.7%. Biden won in 2020 by 0.6%. Right. In the midterms, our race between Mandela Barnes and Ron Johnson was one of the closest in the country. We came just short, and we can't let that happen again. But why is it so tight in the closing days? It's a lot about the money that's being spent on attack ads. Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the United States Senate, saw this race getting close and announced he was going to spend $23 million in his super PAC spending in the final 5 weeks. Now we're at week 3. So some of that's been spent. Some of that's responsible for making this tighter. But we just got to cut through those lies that they're saying on TV and online and start talking the stakes in this race to every voter who's questioning whether they're going to vote or how they're going to vote, because our rights and freedoms are on the line. Our access to health care is on the line. Our path to great paying jobs is on the line. All of these things are on the line in this particular election.
And I wanted to go, as soon as you referenced the fact that McConnell had said that he was going to, produce these extra additional millions and millions of dollars. I had just saw something in the AP. I went to go pull it up. Democrats, as of Monday, have outspent Republicans on advertising in the Wisconsin Senate race, 93 million to 69 million. But what we understand is that alarmed a lot of folks. And so money is pouring in hand over fist. Typically, what would one of these races cost if this wasn't such a high profile situation right now?
And so let me break it down, because there's what the candidates raise and spend.
Right.
And then there's all these outside groups, and they're
Exactly.
party groups, but there's also these things called super PACs. And so right now, and then let me add one other layer to this, is this time around, I'm running against a multi-millionaire. He owns a $3 billion California bank.
Wait, just repeat that, because I don't know that people always appreciate that.
Oh, Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. He has a $7 million home in Laguna Beach, California.
Because then we have questions about residency even.
Well, he's been named among the more influential business people of Orange County 3 years in a row.
Exactly.
And I like to remind Wisconsinites, we have a green county. We have a brown county. It's where the Packers play. We do not have an Orange County, Wisconsin. We do not have an Orange County, Wisconsin.
I don't know how we've been able to skirt this whole issue about residency. It is nothing short of crazy.
And in fact, I mean, he votes in Wisconsin. He's missed about half of the last 30 votes. But last year, the judicial race, he endorsed, Kelly. He voted from California. And that's public record where he sent his vote in from.
Okay.
So, but anyways, the point I was making is that I'm raising money, $5, $10, whatever,
small donor amounts.
Small donors. He is, the candidate himself is allowed to self-fund. I can't self-fund. So he's written, we'll find out later today how much through the third quarter.
Yep.
Finance reports due today.
Yep.
But as of the first half of the year, he had put in $14 million of his own wealth. And so on the candidate side, we've been trying to raise to keep up with his self-financing. But it's this outside money that then comes in, especially at the last minute, that can skew things. And it's just lies on television and online, and we've got to cut through and bring people to what truly is at stake in this election.
And that is a part of the issue, because people talk about the noise, and I've seen races where folks have said, well, I've gotten mailers, and the mailer had 3 highlighted issues. That's what I'm going to go with. And I'm like, did you do any more digging? Did you, there's so many tools just at our cell phone that we are able to resource and get information about where people stand on things, historically what has been said over the years, and the work that's been done. One of the frustrations I've had in talking to voters, some of whom have talked about sitting out this election, is they're saying, I don't see enough progress. I don't think that Democrats have served us well. And so we've been trying to go through and walk like, okay, so let's look at COVID-19. Look at all the business startups that came out of that, Main Street dollars, bounce back dollars. Let's look at lateral piping here. Like, there are things that we can point to. When you look at the track record that you have amassed over, particularly this last term, what are things that people need to understand that you have delivered? Mm-hmm. And even the things that, look, I brought it, I pushed, I worked for it, I couldn't get it through, but I'm not done with this fight. But what are some of the top line items that our community has to understand? Because if I mention one more time that you helped us get some trees, millions of dollars for green space, and how important that is in terms of environmental justice in our community and health-wise, what that means.
Yes.
So please take a second.
All right. So I'm going to just take a thread that you put out there and just talk about the infrastructure bill. And then I want to move to things like rights and freedoms and voting rights and that stuff. But starting with that infrastructure bill that we passed, there were 2 things that I got into it that I'm really proud of that makes a real difference here. First was my Buy America rules. I'm always bragging about being the Buy America champion of the Senate. But what that means is when we spend tax dollars on infrastructure, that we're trying to make sure none of them get sent overseas. We want those dollars supporting U.S. workers and components. And so you teased it up because you said replacing lead laterals in our drinking water system. And I can't tell you how many times I stood up in my caucus and said, there are 70,000 lead laterals in Milwaukee. And right now, before we pass the bill, we're replacing about 1,000 a year.
Right.
If we don't pick up the pace, we are going to take 70 years to do this.
Absolutely.
And that means several things. It means with Buy America, we have to start sourcing the replacement stuff here in the US, jobs, manufacturing. But we can also train a whole new generation of people in the pipe trades, the plumbers, the pipe fitters. These are good paying jobs. Maybe you start out in an apprenticeship, you're earning while you learn, and then you become the master of your trade and you can bring that trade
Because
anywhere.
one of the things that they found, even with the work that was initially being done, is that we didn't have the skilled labor in place to be able to keep up with demand. So
Right.
had
You can't go
dollars
from
even
1,000 a year
Yeah.
to even if we did
We didn't have big
7,000 types a year, we'd still be doing it for 10 years.
Exactly.
And so we need to support that workforce. We need to, and if we didn't have a skill, we have to skill people up.
Exactly.
It's a great opportunity for folks who are underemployed and would love to get an apprenticeship opportunity. And this is something that is such a demand. I have met folks who started from scratch and now own their own businesses and employ others in the pipe trades. And they're bidding for the work from Milwaukee.
It's amazing because
Yes.
we also were using outside contractors because again, we did not have capacity in terms of workforce to get some of this work done. So when you look at
Buy America was achievement one.
Right.
I want to get to achievement two.
So
Go ahead.
No, but I just want to understand. So when we talk about like the kind of dollars that's associated with a Buy America or even with the money for lead laterals, because sometimes we have to put it in dollars and cents for the community. So at some point, work that into the
Okay, I'll give you an example. It's a Kenosha example, not a Milwaukee example, although if the team will give me a Milwaukee example.
Okay,
too.
cool. And we got commercial listeners, so that works.
All right. So I got Buy America policies in the infrastructure bill. And remember the infrastructure bill, roads, bridges, rails, lead laterals, internet. And so we're made a pledge and put money behind the idea of making sure everyone has access to affordable high-speed internet, whether you're rural, whether you're urban, whether you're suburban. And part of what we realized as we were building out this infrastructure is there were certain types of circuitry that wasn't made in the USA. We had Buy America policy. So that empowered our Commerce Secretary, who's in charge of the broadband build-out, to go talk to a CEO of a foreign company that builds those pieces of circuitry and saying, I need to buy millions of these. And he's like, go ahead, buy them. This would be great. And she said, well, there's one issue. You don't make them in America. And I'm bound by these rules. And so they found a company, Sanmina Corporation in Kenosha, that was making similar circuitry, but not the ones that we needed for the broadband build-out. And I remember going to the announcement that they're going to expand from 200 employees to 400 employees. And they're going to have that responsibility to build the circuitry for that broadband build-out. 200 new jobs. Southeast Wisconsin, because of Buy America policies. They're tangible. In that bill and also in the Inflation Reduction Act, we're also doing a lot more to invest and incent the production of wind power and solar farms to have that in our electricity energy mix. So Ingateam, which right now does generators for wind generation, saw this opportunity as we sort of make this conversion. We could start making electric vehicle chargers. And that's something that's really done mostly overseas.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, we're doing them here in Milwaukee. New jobs. Ingateam is growing. So that's how Buy America works.
Okay.
So the other thing that I did when I'm on one of the committees that was a part of putting the infrastructure bill together. And we knew it was going to create opportunities for new businesses just because of Buy America policies and we have to source these things here. So I wanted to make sure that minority-owned businesses had as great a shot at these possibilities as everyone else. And we know that minority-owned businesses are often disadvantaged in terms of access to capital or mentorship or how do you write your business plan, all of these So there's an agency in the Commerce Department called the Minority Business Development Office, and it was not a permanent thing. It wasn't in law. It was just kind of renewed casually from year to year. Like we need to make that an official agency where the head of it is at the sub cabinet level, so that when your Commerce Department top officials are at the table talking about the work they have to do, there's somebody representing minority owned businesses sitting at that table. But secondly, once we got that done, and it was my amendment to the bill that got that done. Secondly, I kept saying to the new head of that agency, uh, we don't have one in Wisconsin. And the Wisconsin entrepreneurs who are using this agency's offices, he's in the Chicago office, with the Detroit office. Now we have one here in Milwaukee. And
Where's
it's
that office?
co-located with the minority supplier.
Off
Yes.
So, and I can't think of the exact address because when Senator
We'll,
Taylor was
we'll
in
follow
office,
up.
no.
We'll follow
I'm
up.
here to say we've used the facility.
Yeah.
When Senator Taylor was in office during Black History Month, we had a group of Black business owners come in to tour the facility, see what services were being offered. So I think we were one of the very first events that they hosted at the location. So this is real time.
Yes.
We've had business owners able to go in right away and see that work. And it was a huge deal because, as you said, we didn't have anything like that locally that we could have immediate access to. So I'm able to witness in real time that our office took advantage of that location right away. It was, I think they were like still polishing off stuff when we were coming through.
Well, when we're done, I'll get you like all the information so you can advertise it. I mean, not obviously, it's not a commercial value. It's here to help.
No.
And so I remind people where it is, who to contact, how to call.
Because it's right off of 91st, and I got to think of the exact address. But yeah, we've been there. It's a beautiful space. Met the team that was there, and it was so funny because I went into staff mode because some of the folks that were running it, I was like, get pictures, because we had like rooms full of people, and the young woman, she was like, oh, you're right. We had like legislators in there. Get pictures, capture this moment because it was huge. It was huge for so many people. So I need to say thank you because we utilized it right away. Okay, so you talk about that particular area, but there are other places that you have shown up in terms of either legislation offered or work that's being done. Can we take a moment just on the environmental justice piece?
Yes.
And why was that important for you to do some work in that area and how we ended up benefiting and being impacted by the work that you did?
Yeah. So I'm going to make this a health equity issue also. We probably have about 500,000 Wisconsinites that have asthma. Asthma disproportionately impacts communities, neighborhoods that are in areas with low air quality. It also disproportionately impacts people in low-income housing that maybe has internal or interior environmental irritants.
And if I said my brother suffered from asthma our entire childhood. I remember sitting in the emergency room. I remember we always assumed that Black people had a predisposition genetically to stuff like that. We never understood because of where we lived frequently, the air that we were breathing, the environmental factors that were around us, companies, emissions, that no, this is not genetic. We're not supposed to just because you're Black asthma. We would have people like this, it runs in the family. So I want to preface that.
Yeah.
By with your comments.
And so we know that the tree canopy, urban, I don't want to call them urban forests, but, the way that works, it takes things out of the air and creates, the exchange that takes place, the leaves, etc., is bringing healthy neighborhoods. So that investment is really important. But I want to tell you about a recent victory that, because this is quite the story. I kept hearing from folks who couldn't afford air conditioners. I in the US, the manufacturers of it and it's about $200 to $650 per inhaler. And if you're asthmatic, you need a daily inhaler and an emergency inhaler. The same inhalers by the same 4 manufacturers in Europe cost between $5 and $75. And people with great insurance probably don't pay a penny or just a very minor copay. But the underinsured and uninsured people who can least afford it are often the ones charged full price. I met with this is such a tragic story, but just a couple of weeks ago, I met with parents who lost their 22-year-old because he went in, he's on his own now, went in, he paid $560 copay, he didn't have it, he left without, and then tried to ration and do without, and he ended up dying because he didn't have it. But what I want to tell you is that earlier in the year, when I was hearing so many stories about this, we launched an investigation into the 4 manufacturers and said basically what 2 things. Why are you charging Americans 10, 15, 20% times, not percent, times more than you charge US citizens? And why, or let me do that one again. Why are you charging US citizens 10, 15, 20 times more than you charge people overseas? And secondly, why are there only 4 of you who've had inhalers since the 1950s? If you had a patent, it should have expired by now, and there should be a ton of generic competition. Well, we launched our investigation in January, and by March, 3 of the 4 companies came to us and said, "We are voluntarily lowering the price, out-of-pocket price, to no more than $35 per month out of pocket." We're still after the 4th one, but 3 of the companies are now gonna make sure that underinsured and uninsured people aren't turned away because they can't afford their inhaler.
So I'll take a quick commercial. We'll come back because we got to talk about looking forward. Why it's important to tell you to the Senate what kind of work we're waiting, what kind of help Kamala Harris would need. And so we'll do that on the other side. Whew, yeah, that one hit close to home. Family, we'll be right back. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM, the Midweek Flow. Give us All right, family, welcome back to the Midweek Flow. We are so fortunate this afternoon, joined in studio by none other than U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, who is running for re-election. Is this the third time?
I'm running for my third.
Third term. This time flies. It does not seem like it has been that long. We talked about a number of accomplishments going into the book, but as we look ahead to why it's important for people to consider voting for you, returning you to DC, what are some top line issues that come to mind?
Well, the reason that I ran for office in the first place was to help fix our broken healthcare system.
Mm.
We talked about some of the achievements. I was on a committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act. And I think you remember that it was my provision that allow young people to stay on their parents' health insurance
26.
till 26.
And my
But you know
family
what?
benefited, right?
I'm working with uh, your congresswoman here to really consider maternal health. We know that Wisconsin, sadly, the Milwaukee area is one of the worst in terms of disparities and maternal mortality. We got to turn it around. And there's legislation that we're working on, like Maura and myself, to diversify the maternal care workforce. Make sure that there are doulas of color, midwives of color, physicians of color too. Um, that's part of the path to fixing this. But I want to get back to the sort of the big picture. If we have a President Harris, she needs the Senate to confirm judges and justices to the Supreme Court. And if we don't have a Democratic controlled Senate, do not hesitate to think that Republicans will block every nominee
Right.
that she puts out there. And that is so important to our future, is to have a judiciary that looks more like America. Joe Biden has done an excellent job of doing it, and we need to keep that up. So she needs the Senate for that too.
Well, and that's the one thing, without fail, we've talked about on the show. There have been, times when a new president will get elected. Maybe that first, second year, they typically can have the House working for them in terms of who's controlling it, but usually you're in an uphill battle, and so being able to at least control one of those houses is so critical. Every time I think about the way Mitch McConnell, in terms of the Supreme Court appointments, stole judicial appointments. You
Mhm.
stole them bookended from Obama and from Biden in terms of what we've done to produce the court that we have. So helping people understand we cannot be single issue voters, because they're the folks that have been going through this thing. Folks are saying, can you be a Christian and be a Democrat because of right to life issues? If we could just squeeze out a moment for you to speak to the impact of overturning Roe v. Wade and women's reproductive freedom and what that has meant and seeing from inside the building.
Absolutely. So when the Dobbs decision came down, America has fewer rights than their mothers. It should not depend upon your zip code or your state, what sort of freedoms you have. In Wisconsin, we have a law in the book that was passed in 1849. It's a criminal abortion ban, and it means that today 69 out of 72 have no access. It's illegal. We only have 3 counties with access. And we know now there's places with no exceptions for rape or incest. We know that there's places where doctors are being prosecuted. And we know that there are places where women are dying. Nobody stands for that. And we have to fight back.
So you have been extremely generous with your time.
Thank you.
I thought I was going to 10 minutes in, maybe 15, and I ended up doing 30. Thank you so much, Senator
Thank you.
Baldwin. If time and schedule permits in the next 20 days, please check back in on how things are going. Give us some updates and let us know how we can support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, family, let me take a quick break. I got another guest coming into the studio. Want to get set up for that? We'll be right back.